multiple L1s that might be winners you mentioned. So let's put our magical hat and guess the future if we can do so.
Sure.
What blockchain asset has a chance to be the next Bitcoin or Solana in your mind? Assets that with some of the best risk-adjusted return. And why?
I actually think, so if I'm thinking of my my Mount Rushmore of crypto assets, like what it's Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and I think Chainlink may be the fourth asset on that mix.
Interesting.
Why? If you're bullish on stablecoin and tokenization, then you're bullish on the intersection of crypto and real world assets, and maybe just crypto and the real world. And if you're bullish on that intersection, the connecting lever there are oracles, of which Chainlink is the leader. So if you're thinking of like, what are the four most important crypto assets in the world? I think you could make a case that they're Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Chainlink.
I had Sergey Nazarov a couple of months ago.
He's great
on the podcast. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a legend.
He is a legend, and they're continuing to win and press their market cap advantage, market share advantage. I think they're doing a great job.
They have this amazing long-term view, and they're basically at the forefront of bringing all these institutions in crypto, because he is very down to earth, and he realizes, because you might think, some people call him Satoshi, right? Some people think he's Satoshi. So some people think he's Satoshi, you might think, oh, he has this very kind of a traditional cypherpunk views on crypto, right? But absolutely not. He's saying, hey, if you ask a true Bitcoiner what they prefer the most, Bitcoin to stay kind of cypherpunk and decentralized and all that stuff, or Bitcoin price to go up, they'll tell you that they prefer Bitcoin price to go up. How do we get Bitcoin price to go up? We need more money and flows. Where is the flow coming from? Institution. That's why Chainlink is pushing like crazy on institutional adoption. Basically, it's very simple and very practical and down to earth.
Very right. Yeah, he's right about that. Yeah, you can't imagine Bitcoin succeeding to its full extent with none of the institutional money owning it. There's just that's an impossibility.
The best marketing is price go up.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I can't wait for there to be a Chainlink ETF and to be able to talk to institutions about that. I think it's really going to resonate with them.
Last time you came on this podcast, I asked you what crypto you'd be comfortable to hold for next 5 years. You said Bitcoin, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Has this evolved?
Well, if I only get to hold one, if that's the box you're putting me in, then Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. The reason for that is that I have every confidence that Bitcoin will win the digital gold store of value monetary asset space. I think that game is over and Bitcoin has won it and will just extend its lead. If you get into these other areas like ETH versus Sol, versus Avalanche versus whoever else you might want to name, I just have less confidence on who will be the winner. So if I had to pick one, I might pick the wrong one. If you let me pick multiple of those, I might be happy to do it. But since the question is just one asset, Bitcoin's the one where it's not going to face competition for the market it's going after. These other markets, even Chainlink in the Oracle space, those markets are newer and more competitive. There's more competitive threat. And so the way to invest in markets where there's more competition is, in my view, not to try to pick the winner, but to buy the whole bunch, right? So that's what I would do in that space. So if it's only one asset, it's Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
We still care about Ethereum.
I love Ethereum.
What's the deal with Ethereum?
Look, Ethereum is the leading play on stablecoins and tokenization, which are huge markets. The community had gone somewhat astray and was in like depths of despair earlier this year with a super long technical roadmap and like accusations of being ivory tower. And now they're much more tasked on the market. I think they're shipping better. I think the community is focused on investors. I think it's their market to lose on stablecoins and tokenization. So I'm very bullish on ETH. Again, own a lot of it. It's the second largest position, obviously, in our largest, our crypto index fund. Very, very bullish. So I can be very bullish on Ethereum and still be bullish on Solana. I think that's allowed.
There are a few things that you think that the market is underestimating for 2026. Let's take them one by one. The market is underestimating the likelihood that sovereigns buy Bitcoin in size in the next few years. Why does this matter?
Well, because they have a lot of money. Look, the market price should reflect all of the information that the market understands. So the point of these things is, what does the market miss? And I think it's assigning a 0% chance, for instance, that the US buys Bitcoin. Not that it seizes Bitcoin, but that it buys Bitcoin. And I just think the chance is higher than zero. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 25%. But it's higher than zero. And if that happens, I think the price goes to $500,000 or more almost instantly. So I'd add, Bitwise does consultations with central banks. Those markets are happening. They just happen very slowly. And because they happen slowly, I think crypto overlooks them and assumes that they're not happening. It's happening just at the pace that central banks move, which is a turtle-like pace. But I do think they will get there. I don't think it's reflected in the market. And I think when those announcements come, I think the impact on price is going to be big.
What do you mean by sovereigns exactly?
I mean central banks.
Central banks.
So sovereign wealth funds are already buying, right? Abu Dhabi, Luxembourg is buying. There are others who are looking at it. So I mean Bitcoin held as a strategic asset by a country, maybe even on a central bank purse.
Which is what they do with gold today, right?
They do it with gold, yeah.
The market is underestimating the speed at which tokenization and stablecoins will grow.
Yeah.
Why does this matter?
Well, it matters for the same reason. The market is particularly on tokenization, I think skeptical of the degree to which Wall Street is turning towards tokenization as the future. I mean, you do have the chair of the SEC saying the entire market will move on blockchain-based rails. And you have the CEO of the largest asset manager saying every asset will be tokenized. And yet people still talk more about stablecoins than they do about tokenization. Tokenization is a bigger market. There's $100 trillion of equities. There's more of that of bonds. There's even more of that in real estate. Those are enormous markets. And the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, CBOE, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're all focused on this space. I just think it will happen faster than people think. I, as mentioned, come from the ETF industry. People were hugely skeptical of that as an evolution in financial markets. And I see the same sort of like grassroots level adoption there that I'm seeing in tokenization. So I think people are underestimating the uptick.